We're going to talk about the Bass tournament. I have the dates. March 8th. I believe that's a Monday, and the banquet will be on the 10th. We're going to give away some good prizes this year. We're going to spend some money. This evening we're giving away an Aura S20 reel. Nice little reel, dollar.
Most people want a graphite rod because if it's stiffer, it's going to be a little more sensitive. It's going to transmit vibrations better. I'm not so worried about feeling every vibration of this bait. What the fiberglass does is because this bait has 2 treble hooks on it. And if you fish any bait like this small crankbait, rattle trap, strike king, whatever, you know you're going to lose a lot of fish when they jump. If you got a heavy bait and a little treble hook. What the fiberglass does, you see it's a real soft rod. It's got a lot of tip, and because it's not so stiff, it's slower to load up. When the fish bites, they actually get the bait further down in their mouth. So I'm using the softer rod, the fiberglass rod, really to help me land more fish.
And really, the speed you want to fish it at is usually where you're ticking the hydrilla, but not snagging it. So you want to feel that bait catching. When you got it right, the hooks will just barely catch each little strand, and that bait will kind of pop along. Generally, if it's warmer, you go faster. If it's colder, you slow down.
Do you use all mono or mono and then braid?
Neither. I use fluorocarbon.
Noise, nah.
Protect or not?
There you go. I mean, the noise probably helps. That's not the reason I do it. That's the reason you go to the tackle store and they'll sell you brass beads and brass weights, tungsten weights, and tickers and talkers and kazumbas. That thing's not making enough noise dragging across the river bottom, in my mind, to attract a fish that's not already going to see the bait that's 3 feet away. But it is to protect the knot. And a little secret I'll share with you.
And what size hook would you use?
I don't ever rig wacky with a Carolina rig because what's going to happen is you're going to pull it and it's going to spin. What I'll do with I don't fish a wacky rig a lot because I always feel like there's usually a more efficient way to catch fish.
Everybody know what a wacky rig is?
I'll show you real quick. A wacky rig technique, you can do it with a trick worm type bait, just a straight worm, finesse worm, or you can do it a lot with a stick worm type bait like a Strike King Ocho or a Cinco. But it's going to be a vertical presentation. It's something you're going to throw out there. I fish it on a spinning reel because you just leave the bail open and it's nice slack line. And you're fishing that first drop. Maybe pick it up once or twice, but you got a target, you're putting something right next to it, and it's just going to float down. And what wacky rigging is instead of Texas rigging like we talked about where you're going in through the nose, on a wacky rig, you're going to get right in the middle, and you're going to put your hook through it. So your worm's hanging on the hook like you might have fished a live worm as a kid. Just hook it through the middle. What's going to happen if you think about it when it hits the water, the hook's going to sink first. So it's going to sink about like that, and these two things are going to both flap up. We used to call it flipping when I started doing it. Now it's become punching. That's the California name for it, but in Florida we've always called it flipping. It's a little different. It's just some of you guys from North Carolina, you probably think about flipping. In other places, flipping is usually taking a jig or a Texas rig soft plastic with maybe a half-ounce weight and just an underhand cast to put it up under a dock or put it next to a tree, something close range. When we talk about flipping in Florida, we're talking about fishing through the vegetation as opposed to around the vegetation. And this is really a year-round technique, but more tournaments December through March in Florida or one doing this than anything else. And pretty much if I'm tournament fishing this time of year, you asked about the wacky rig, I'm picking this up. I'm not picking up the wacky rig. Flipping's going to work for you on the days when when that stuff doesn't work. On the days when the fish aren't actively
30
feeding.
degree water,
This time of year,
water, or 103 degree water, they don't pass up easy meals. It's just the world they live in. They got to take advantage of the opportunity to eat. So something pops in their face, they don't think, they snatch, and you catch it. You're fishing where he lives. You're coming right into his house, right down, quick bite. So again, the 1.5 ounce weight, that's to get it through the vegetation. So I'm looking for solid mats of vegetation. The harder it is to get it through, the better off you're going to be. You'll actually pitch it up there sometimes. You'll have to shake it. Sometimes you have to pitch it up in the air and let it go through. I'll go as heavy as a 2 ounce. Rarely go lighter than like 1.25 ounces. Always use tungsten. The advantage of tungsten is it's going to weigh more for the size of the weight. So lead weight to weigh 1.5 ounces is going to be nearly twice as big as this weight. So then you got more surface area to get through the mat. So the smaller tungsten weights, it's a 4/0 heavy cover Gamakatsu hook. It's actually just the big brother of the hook I was using for the Carolina rig. It's got the little bait keeper wire that keeps your bait from sliding down as it goes through the mat. The vegetation wants to push it back on the hook. So that bait keeper is very important. And again, I use a round bend because you get a better hook set and a faster hook set. This is the Okeechobee Craw, which has the black and blue on one side and the green pumpkin on the other. This is what was laying on top of my boat when I left today. My favorite cover is just black and blue, straight black and blue. You're going underneath a mat of vegetation. There's not a whole lot of light under there, so they're not going to see a lot of color. They're seeing a silhouette. So a darker color, a black colored bait, or a solid colored bait is going to be the most visible to them. It doesn't matter if it's black and red, black and blue, as long as it's black. Now the big debate, and you'll have Shaw and Terry coming the next couple of months, and they may talk about this too, and they're going to tell you not to put this little bobber stop on here. And that's just, it's really a matter of preference. But I will tell you, 65-pound braid. For this, again, high-speed reel, there used to be a thing with flipping, and you guys that maybe have done it before might remember, I started doing this when I was a kid, which for me was in the 80s. And as soon as the technique kind of came out, the tackle companies all jumped on and wanted to capitalize and make money. So they came out with all these special flipping reels. Most of them had real low gear ratios. They were all about power. 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. You wanted like a winch. I actually use a 7-to-1, again, so I can take up line quickly, get a good hook set, and not waste a lot of time between pitches. For this technique, the Lew's Super Duty, which is a little bit a hair heavier than a BB1 or some of the other reels because they use a all aluminum frame and aluminum side plates and brass gears, spinning reel. And there's a lot of techniques. The fluke you can fish on the spinning reel. You catch a lot of fish. You can take that same rig and fish that straight tail worm with no weight on a spinning reel. You can't hardly throw that on a bait caster. It's so light it won't go anywhere. So you can throw that on a spinning reel, catch a pile of fish, and it's great fun. But I don't get paid on how many fish I catch. I get paid on catching the 5 biggest ones that day. So for me, I'm going to lean towards the power techniques, the heavier tackle, because when I get a bite, I want that fish in the boat. And that's the difference between tournament fishing and maybe fun fishing.